to the Bullcast Podcast. I'm Katie Pickler, and with me is my supercalifragilisticexpialidocious, fantastic co-host, Court Winsett.
What's up?
And with that, there's the opening bell.
This week we're talking about hard assets. Let's talk about what we've talked about in the last few weeks.
Well, before we get there, we got to tell everybody we are coming at you live from Hot Springs Village. Well, not live, but you know what we mean.
Yes, we're recording on a remote location.
Yes,
we're recording remotely today, and we are recording in Hot Springs Village, and we're going to be talking about hard assets. But how did we get here?
Yeah, so it's been part of a 4-part series. And so if you've stuck with this, then we talked about stocks, we talked about bonds, we talked about cash money, and today we're going to talk about hard assets.
Okay,
we made it to episode 9, which is awesome.
which is a feat, yes. So those first 3 things that we talked about, that we discussed, we're going to call those the intangible elements or the intangible basics of investments. And today we're going to be talking about that one tangible, hard thing that you can hold. Hard assets.
Think of it as the things you can hold, things you can put your hands on.
Yeah. So, because last week we talked about cash, and we did a top 5 about cash heists, but we limited it to cash. I was really upset because some of my favorite heist movies had to be excluded because the heist didn't involve cash. So this week, moving into our top 5, we're going to do a top 5 heist movies again. Hope you're not getting tired of it because we got 5 more each heist movies, but this time it's going to involve hard assets.
And since we're changing up locations, I think we just do a little flippy-to-flip. And Court, give me your top 5 first.
Oh, Lord have mercy. Why do you do this to me? I have an outline, Katie. You can't just be flipping the flop on my outline.
I can change things if I want to.
Alexa, give me top 5. Hey, by the way,
Alexa can play us.
Yeah.
It's the greatest thing. I'm just standing there kind of trying to be sarcastic, and I'm like, Alexa, play Bullcast Podcast. And she did it.
Yep.
It's amazing. So you have no excuses now.
You can be sitting in your den and just tell Alexa to play Bullcast Podcast, and she'll bring it right on up.
She'll do it for you.
Okay, but unfortunately, Alexa's not going to give me my top 5. I wrote down a list of a bunch of different movies, and I can't really give you a top 5. Like, for instance, I already used The Goonies, which technically isn't a heist movie. It's a treasure hunt movie, but I used that in a previous episode, so you won't be hearing me say The Goonies again. Some of these are not heist movies, but, you know, it's basically treasure hunt / heist, and here we go. My number 1 is a movie called Romancing the Stone. This is kind of a heist / kidnapping / treasure hunt / I don't know, they throw it all in there, and it was fantastic. The ultimate goal is a giant jewel, a giant emerald, which is most definitely a hard asset. Starring
the Emerald City.
Well, that would be a giant hard asset. But it's starring Michael Douglas and Kathleen Turner. It completely took me by surprise. This was back when, in the days before the internet, you could not research movies. If you hadn't seen a trailer for a movie, you just didn't know anything about it. You had to dial into a number to figure out what time the movie was playing. I walked up to the movie theater. There were 4 things showing. I looked at the poster. Romancing the Stone, guy swinging on a thing with a girl hanging onto him. I thought, sure, why not? Went in, blew me away. Hilarious. Danny DeVito is hilarious. Michael Douglas, first movie I ever saw him in. Hilarious. Kathleen Turner, this is back when she was, boom, she was fantastic. So, sorry,
Boom.
I didn't want to go, but I was like, wow, that lady's pretty. I don't know. I was 10 or something. The whole thing was just an excellent movie, and I haven't seen it in a while. Don't know if it holds up, but it was great. So it's my number 1. Number 2, I'm gonna go with. See, I have like a list of like 13, and I'm just gonna pick and choose depending on my mood. So since we're on an oldies but goodies, I'm gonna go with Raiders of the Lost Ark.
Oh yes,
yeah,
Indiana Jones.
Absolutely, dealing goodies. Stealing goodies all movie long. And of course, it ends up with the hardest of hard assets, that big old giant killer ark at the very end of the episode.
Mm-hmm.
And then they just, well, I'm not going to tell you in case you haven't seen it. I don't want to spoil it.
There's
but
spoiler alerts.
Yeah. And I mean, really, that's just a given, right? I don't have to go into why. It's Raiders of the Lost Ark.
Exactly.
Okay.
Enough said.
Okay, number 3. I'm going to go with A Fish Called Wanda.
That was on my list, but it's a great
Was it?
one.
Oh, well, then you can have it.
No, go ahead.
Dang it. I was okay. So A Fish Called Wanda is a movie that stars
Jamie
Lee Curtis,
Yes.
John Cleese, Kevin Kline, Michael Palin. I mean, it is wonderful, classic sort of John Cleese, Michael Palin humor, but it also has the added love of Kevin Kline being just a nasty, stupid American, and it's hilarious. And don't call me stupid.
And they're searching for a stolen diamond in that one.
Okay.
Yeah.
Stolen diamonds. Number 4. I can't see. This is what you get for letting me go first. I can't decide. My number 4. Oh gosh. Oh my gosh. I can't even believe I almost left this one out. My number 4 is Italian Job. I love this movie. They're stealing gold. They do it with Mini Coopers. It's fantastic. Great car chase scenes, great driving, great, I've told you before, I like it when you see them planning out the heist, and they plan it out. It's amazing. I love it. And, Mark Wahlberg is one of my wife's favorite actors. So, all around good movie, and I loved it. And number 5, I'm going to go with Reservoir Dogs. Now, this is obviously early, like first movie by Quentin Tarantino, a classic Tarantino film, great Mexican standoff at the end. The heist involves, I think, again, diamonds, but you don't actually see the heist, but it does include a heist that goes wrong. And, so I put it in there because, gotta have that Tarantino flick when you can get it. That's
Absolutely.
my 5.
Cool. Okay, so my 5. You gotta make an adjustment because you stole one of mine, but it's okay.
That's what you get.
I'll start out kind of funny. The Great Muppet Caper.
Yes.
Talking about the Muppets, but
Why
it's the
didn't I
whole
think of that?
Kermit, Gonzo, Fozzie Bear. They're all the reporters. Miss Piggy's the secretary. There's been a
Absolutely.
jewel thief. I mean, come on, who doesn't love the Muppets?
Believe me. Okay. Have I ever told you that? It's depressing, but the Rainbow Connection will be played at my funeral. I will have Rainbow Connection played at my funeral.
Noted.
It will happen.
Noted.
Preferably with a Kermit the Frog puppet actually singing Rainbow Connection at my funeral.
Cameron, put that in the books. Note it down. My number 2, Thomas Crown Affair.
Yes, love
we
that.
talked about
the original or the one with Pierce Brosnan.
Both are good. I mean, the first one I saw was obviously the newer one with Pierce and then Rene Russo.
Yes.
But it's just so cool. He steals the Monet, and just an incredible movie.
Oh, yeah.
And amazing scenery of him switching out paintings and all that. And then when the sprinklers come on, just amazing. You have to check it out.
Loved it.
Number 3, Entrapment. I guess I kind of go with my Bond boys, because in here's Sean Connery in this one, Catherine Zeta-Jones, and she is searching for him because of the stolen Rembrandt. So there's art collectibles, which we'll get into. That's definitely a hard asset.
Absolutely.
Number 4, one of my ultimate favorites, Gone in 60 Seconds. I love this movie. Nicolas Cage has to help his kid brother out because he's gotten into some trouble. They have to steal 50 classic cars within 72 hours. And of course, it's all with the Eleanor and the Shelby GT500. I think it's a 1967 one. But just amazing. Of course, my favorite part is Angelina Jolie, and that she changes something every car she steals. Red lipstick for this car, leather for this car. You know me, gotta throw in the outfit.
I know,
part.
you love the outfits.
And since you stole my Fish Called Wanda, I'm gonna go with Three Kings. And it's got a killer cast in that one as well. It's after the Persian Gulf War. 4 soldiers set out to steal gold that was stolen from Kuwait. So good action movie.
Yeah.
War.
Yeah. It's I remember, I mean, given the way they promoted that movie, I really expected it to be funnier than it was. And it was really just
serious.
Yeah, it was very serious and hardcore action, violent kind of a
Well, that's why I
lot.
start with Muppets. It's lighthearted, and then you end
Yeah.
with violence.
No,
and
I
gore.
love your list.
So enough about our top 5. Let's actually get into the heart of this.
Heart of it. Hard of it. Heart of it. Heart of it. Heart of it.
Heart of it about hard assets.
Hard assets. Okay. Tell us about hard assets, Katie.
In the beginning, let's go back.
Think back over time.
Stocks and bonds and cash didn't exist.
What? What is this you speak of?
They didn't exist.
There was no such thing.
But you think back of it. I mean, we're talking about woolly mammoth days and the craziness of it all started with things you could hold in your hand.
Yes. Well, I mean, you couldn't technically hold a woolly mammoth in your hand.
No, but you could hold parts of a woolly mammoth in your hand.
Oh, poor woolly mammoth.
I know, but, you could trade with a woolly mammoth tooth or,
Tusk.
tusk.
Fur.
Exactly.
Skin,
Any of that. The
meat.
skin, the meat.
Yeah, all of it. I'm sure it was all worth something to them.
Yeah, but you would collect that and have that, and that's what you would trade for goods and services.
Right. So we already called it like tangible. You could take your woolly mammoth tusk, and if somebody else had, I don't know, a saber-toothed tiger pelt, and you wanted it and they wanted your tusk, then you could go to them and say, I'll trade you my tusk for your pelt. And they would say, okay. And this was the original system of supply and demand and exchange. It was what do
How
you
it
got?
was in the beginning.
I got this. You got that. Let's trade.
Yeah, a hard asset is nothing more than that which people assign value to. So if, Court has this, tooth from a woolly mammoth and I've got this beautiful fur from a saber-toothed tiger, it's just based on that value that is set there that he wants this and I want what he has.
Yes. I mean, and I suppose it could also be traded for for services as well. I can't really, back in caveman days, I can't think of what service I would get in exchange for a woolly mammoth tusk, but I mean, I'm sure there's something, and I could say like, Hey, you smart person over there that has learned how to plant crops. I don't know how to do that because I'm a caveman. Here is my tusk.
Or someone to help you build something.
Sure.
Or anything like that.
Absolutely. Okay.
But it's just the simple of that is what we want everyone to really understand is hard assets go way back.
Yeah. Okay. So basically any hard asset, even today, it's nothing more than what somebody assigns a value to. And so it could be anything, copper, diamonds, gold, oil, water rights, that's
water rights.
Yeah. Well, water it's a soft asset. It's a liquid asset, but it's a hard asset. I mean, it's something that somebody can actually exchange with you the right to use, water on their land for your purposes. I'm not going to get into the details.
Yeah, it's kind of thinking back to when we talked about the Beverly Hillbillies and how they had oil, and so someone paid them because they wanted the land, they wanted the rights. They had a hard asset in that oil.
Yeah, exactly. So things like that, tangible assets. Now nowadays, or even back, they could be traded. Like I could trade my gold for your copper, or I could say, if you'll give me your whatever, I'll give you this certificate that says you are now the owner of this piece of property. Say,
yes.
Like a piece of real estate, because that's a hard, firm piece of asset. But I can't hand over the land to you.
Yeah, that raw undeveloped land, I can't sit there and have it, in my backyard just waiting to go. Right. I have a certificate that says this is mine.
Yeah.
And just like, it might be great for you to have, 10,000 pieces of diamonds or something like that, but that'd be kind of hard to store.
Well, that's true. And I mean, that is a consideration. So
and the pirates would really be coming after you if you have diamonds in your basement or
coming
something.
out of everything.
Exactly.
So, I mean, I guess our point is most people, when you think today about hard assets and when you think about diamonds and gold and, the TV commercials with gold, when you think about stuff like that, you're thinking about gold like it's an alternative investment. But hard assets like gold, like all of these other things that we've been talking about, they're not the alternative investment.
They were the original.
They're the original investment.
Yeah. The alternative is now all these newer things of the stocks and the bonds.
I mean, if you think about it, okay, so sort of in line with that whole idea of a certificate or of some sort of written form that represents something. Even our money system now, $1 or $100, a currency. Our currency used to be backed by gold. Mm-hmm. There was a giant place called Fort Knox that stored all the gold.
Absolutely. There was a gold bar that would go with that dollar.
Well, I'm not a whole bar because
yes.
But yes, you
equivalent.
Could yeah, you could you used to be able to our dollar was backed was on the gold standard. So our dollar, you could take $1 and trade it in for $1's worth of gold. Mm-hmm. It's no longer the way it is, but at one time our entire system was based on that document, that certificate, that dollar bill being representative of a hard asset. So again, just to restate, those hard assets, they're the original. This cash, this stock, this bond, these are the interlopers. These are the latecomers to the party. These things, they didn't develop until later on. Mm-hmm. Hard assets have been around forever, and they're like old money. They're like, who are you coming up in here? Stocks and bonds and cash? You're getting in on our business. You need to back off.
I mean, heck, they have those places where you can go get the little pans and try and get gold in the river.
Well, yeah, okay, so there used to be like this thing called the gold rush.
Oh, yeah. But I'm saying, like, in my lifetime, there's been a place that I went and you try and get gold and stuff. So gold has always been this thing of just like, oh, if I own gold, then it's going to be worth so much. But
yeah,
those ads are a little. My rule of thumb is if there's a bunch of ads about it, then you need to make sure it passes the smell test.
Yeah,
make sure it's legit and that it's something you really want to invest in.
Yeah, I mean, and it is an investment. I mean, we are talking about hard assets as part of our, again, 4 different types of investment. Mm-hmm. And a hard asset can be an investment, but it's not necessarily an investment for everyone. And those gold ads would make you believe that right now all you should be doing is putting all of your money into gold because it's the only thing out there. And gold or any other investment in a hard asset, it's not for everybody.
Yeah. I mean, diamonds are a girl's best friend, according to Miss Marilyn Monroe, but definitely it's one of those, I don't think you want to put all your eggs in one basket and just have diamonds and be like, well, this is my net worth. I have all these diamonds.
Right.
Because when it comes time to trying to turn those tangible items into, if you remember from last time, something liquid, because I can't necessarily pay my mortgage bill with my diamonds.
No, you definitely can't. I mean,
I could, but then I'd definitely probably be losing money because it's like, oh, here's a diamond.
Well, one of the things you have to think about with a hard asset when your money is tied up in a hard asset, whether it's real estate, which again, like I said, that's a hard asset.
That is, yes.
Or it's diamonds, or it's gold, or it's a collectible. Mm-hmm. Any of those things, if your money is tied up in that, it could be worth a fortune, but a hard asset, the value of a hard asset is going to be determined by who wants to buy it and how much they're willing to pay for it.
Yeah, exactly.
So you have to find that buyer.
You have to find somebody who's interested in it. And you touched on collectibles a little bit, and that's what I know we've already determined that collectibles are so fascinating that we want to do a whole podcast about it. But just think about back to, if you collected baseball cards when you were younger,
right,
that you held on to something because you knew one day it was going to be worth something. So obviously you're having the hard assets that you have bought this card and you're hoping that one day it'll turn into something worth it. But it is not that easy money that you can get your hands on immediately.
Yeah. No, I mean,
it's an investment.
Yeah.
A long-term one.
And I want to be clear on this. We've referenced these gold commercials a lot, and they'll promise like gold, it's the dollar is going to die and inflation is going to kill us and all of these things. And the apocalypse is coming. I will always hope for a zombie apocalypse. Of all of the apocalypses that could possibly...
It's Court's fault if it happens.
Well, I mean, I'm just saying, like, you know, you've got the like nuclear apocalypse, disease, you know, apocalypse, like in Stephen King's The Stand or something. The one that I feel like I probably have the best chance of surviving is a zombie apocalypse because, you know, whatever. But let's say there's an apocalypse, well, and gold is going to be the only thing that you're like, I'm going to get gold because that will mean that when everything else has gone away, I'll have gold. Okay.
But who's going to buy your gold?
Who is going to buy your gold? Is somebody going to accept your gold in exchange for their shotgun when...
Yeah, during a zombie apocalypse, the hot commodities would be bullets,
guns, bows and arrows, swords,
something to combat
weapons,
these zombies. Maybe food even?
Food, obviously,
But you can't... I guess you could throw a gold brick at a zombie.
You could. A gold could be used as a weapon, but... It's
not in the purpose of what you were saving it for.
It's not going to necessarily be the value you would be putting on it right now. So some of the things that you think about gold being protection against, like inflation or the failure of the dollar, you know, it's not guaranteed that it's going to protect you against those things.
I mean, a lot of times gold is more volatile than, you know, the stock market.
It could definitely be. Okay, but let's think about other types, though. I mean, we keep going on about gold, but I think that's just because there are so many commercials on the TV about gold right now.
That's just kind of what everybody knows right now.
But hard assets, gold is sort of in a category by itself. Think of a hard asset as something that you can use, something that's of value to you, something that might be consumable or something that might be collectible. But, you know, oil, there's a use for oil.
Absolutely.
Natural gas, you know, like I said, property that you could use to grow things on, or commercial real estate that you could have a business on. You know, there are all these different types of, I mean, even copper, which is a precious metal.
Yeah, all the precious metals.
Copper it's useful in the conduction of electricity. So
absolutely. I mean, you hear people like stealing from construction sites the copper because then they'll go and sell it for some kind of value.
And then you've got all the other things like wheat and cotton and, you know, frozen concentrated orange juice. Like
is that a Trading Places reference?
Yes, it is.
Love it.
So, you know, there are all these different types of hard assets that you can put money into. Some of them nowadays you can invest on a market in a commodity like frozen concentrated orange juice.
Oh yeah.
And you don't actually have to
You're
store
not storing that orange juice
because, you know, you'll just trade it again. You'll know you own it, but you'll trade it again on the market. But some of these hard assets that we're talking about, you actually have to think about, okay, if I buy all of this, if I'm just going to buy up and I'm going to try and corner the market on strawberries and make a killing because I've cornered the market on strawberries. And this is a reference to a particular guy. You got to figure out where to store those strawberries.
Absolutely.
A guy, the founder of Piggly Wiggly, actually lost his fortune because he tried to corner the market on strawberries. Some people got wind of what he was trying to do, and they just left his strawberries sitting at the dock.
Oh gosh!
And wouldn't ship them to where that he needed them to go, and they went bad, and he lost all his money. But
so hard assets. We said it was something you can put your hands on.
Yeah.
But also think about it as something that can be consumed, but also destroyed. So like those strawberries, they were ruined. They were destroyed. Like land, it could be ruined.
Yeah.
Your gold could be stolen from you. It could be destroyed.
You have to have somebody, you have to have a place to store it. You have to have somebody who will buy it.
Yeah.
You have to know the method that you're going to use to value it.
Absolutely, because you could really get, you know.
Yeah, I know. It's kind of like, I
can't think of it correct. You could really get in trouble if you find the wrong person that tries to cheat you out of the deal. You may know what word I was trying to say and keep it PG.
And then also, obviously, the value of a particular hard asset is going to change based on supply and demand. So, like you were saying earlier, that idea of collectibles like baseball cards, you know, whatever. There's also oil. You know, for a while there, for decades even, oil was, oh my gosh, oil
we're
is
gonna run
scarce.
out.
We're going to run out. It's terrible. And then recently we had the price of oil actually was nothing, basically, because we had so much oil that the people that were generating oil, that were pumping oil out of the ground, had so much oil that they couldn't sell it to anybody because everybody was like, I'm sorry.
I'm good. Yeah.
I don't need any. So no, I don't want to pay the price for oil because I have all of the oil I can use.
Yeah.
So it depends on supply and demand. All of these things affect your hard assets. And, well, another example, right, of supply and demand. Another thing that everybody thought was going to be super valuable, but ended up not.
Oh, the Beanie Babies.
The Beanie Babies.
Yes, my cousin who actually collects baseball cards, it was kind of filling me in on that. He actually did the whole Beanie Baby thing. Was dating a girl, wanted to get her the Princess Diana Beanie Baby because that was the big deal. And I think he ended up paying like $100 for it, which was a big deal, buying a Beanie Baby for that much.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
And at that point, he probably could have sold it, a couple of years later for $1,000. Of course, now I think we looked it up and you can get 15, maybe 35 for it.
No. I don't, I mean, I know I've had a ton of Beanie Babies. I, as a guy, had a ton of Beanie Babies. I think my mom bought me a bunch.
We all thought that was the hold on to it and that was going to pay for people's college tuition. And it didn't pan out. And the baseball cards things, he was telling me that, when you were younger and you collect baseball cards, you wouldn't take care of them. You would just kind of rip open the package and you had your favorite players, but if you hated that other team, you just toss it.
Yeah.
And if you had held on to it, then it was going to be, this great rookie card to hold. But the issue with it is you got to kind of, if you want to get into baseball collectibles, you got to find the right cards because there's so many that were mass produced that they have no value because everybody can get their hands on it.
Right. And so, you may have something that is great, whether it's a collectible or something else. Katie, we should do a whole episode on collectibles.
We are going to.
I have a list of things that I've collected in my life, and I just want to talk about them.
Yeah, we're going to do that.
You could buy something that you think is valuable and it's collectible, but is somebody else willing to pay you money for it? And this doesn't make it a hard asset or not a hard asset. It just is. Should you be investing in that hard asset? That's kind of the question we're trying to answer for you right now. Is we've defined a hard asset for you, but do you want to get into that particular kind of hard asset, or is it a wise investment, or is it not a wise investment?
And that's again that it's every person is different, and that's where your portfolio is what we call it, and that's your overall. Think about where you're going to put all your eggs. What baskets are you going to put them in? And so that's where we'll look at your portfolio and we figure out what are the best options. Are you somebody that should invest in hard assets, or are you someone that should stay more cash in stocks or cash in bonds or a variety of all four?
Do you want to put your money in real estate? Do you want to put it in oil?
Yeah.
We do have a lot of people that call us up and say, hey, should I be buying gold right now? All of these things, seek out professional advice, somebody that can tell you based on your personal situation what you should be doing.
Don't just jump on it because you feel like it's the fad and because your best friend or your neighbor's doing it. Make sure you take a whole look of your overall portfolio, where you think is best for your future, for your investments.
Right. So we've told you what hard assets are, right, Katie? Do you have a good understanding
what
of
I can put my hands on, those tangible things?
Right. So...
okay, but wait. I can put my hands on a $5 bill. So is currency a hard asset?
Okay. So we've been using basically the idea that something physical is a hard asset. But remember that it's more than just the physical. Can you touch it? Can you feel it? It's about what someone else will give you for it, right?
Gotcha.
Okay. So walk into a casino, right?
Okay.
The casino gives you chips, gives you poker chips, a poker chip, a stack of poker chips, whatever it is. Say the poker chip is worth $5. You can take that poker chip to anywhere in the casino you want and give it to a cashier, and they'll give you $5 because that's what the poker chip says it's worth.
Yeah.
You can give it to a waitress. And as a tip,
yeah,
and
absolutely.
she's not going to scowl at you because you gave her a poker chip.
No.
But if you were to walk out of that casino
You couldn't go to the Waffle House and give the person a poker chip.
Well, I mean, if you're in Vegas or something, you might be able to, but they're gonna get really, they're gonna get a little bit upset because, they're gonna have to go to that specific casino because the only place that gives that poker chip.
So it's only valued in that location.
Exactly. That poker chip is only assigned that value by that casino.
Gotcha.
Same way with currency, with any currency. Our dollars are only given that value by our government, by our Federal Reserve, by our banking system, by us as people.
Yeah.
And if we were to, I don't want to say, I mean, if we were to go off planet, then those dollar bills have no value whatsoever. And aliens.
And that's the whole other thing that we don't want to get really into. But if we went to France or went somewhere else, then our dollar is not the same value over
exactly.
there.
Okay,
so then we're not considering cash a hard asset.
We're not considering it a hard asset because we have determined this out of the, We've
it's no longer the buyer and seller's range to determine the value. It's already determined for us.
Yes, exactly. Yes, you said that perfectly.
Perfect. I got it.
Excellent. Okay, so if that doesn't make it clear enough for you, if you're still like, yeah, but I can touch it and it's worth what it's, whatever. Think of it in a different way. I'm going to try this on for size. Okay, so if you were stocking a storm shelter.
Okay.
And you've got not a storm shelter. Let's say it's a nuclear fallout shelter. Or actually, let's say
I'm thinking like Blast from the Past movie. Yeah. They have it all stored up and everything.
Okay. If you were to stock a nuclear fallout shelter that you had to live in for a year.
Okay.
You're going to want to stock it with everything that you need to live, to keep yourself entertained, to keep yourself happy, and so on and so forth. Mm-hmm. So think about for a second, what are you going to stock it with? Just think about it and then come up with everything that you're going to need. Canned goods, blankets, dolls, puzzles, games for the family, TV. Oh, maybe the TV won't work. Anyway, think about everything that you're going to need. Try and figure out what you want to put in there and put it all in there and you're ready to go and I'm going to lock you in. Okay. Now, on the other side of that, you've stocked it full of tangible goods because that's all you need down there is tangible goods. Well, if currency were a tangible good that was valuable to you, would you be able to use it for a year in a fallout shelter?
Nope. You have no use in the fallout shelter.
No. It is a piece of paper that represents something that has been it's been assigned a nebulous value and the paper itself represents that value, but you know what else? Bottom line is that paper is going away.
Yeah.
As much as a lot of people don't like this, we are moving to a cashless society.
Yeah, people are using their debits and credit cards and they're not carrying cash in their wallets. The whole thing of you're about to go on a trip, you better get some cash to have as emergency because not everywhere takes cash. That really is going away.
It really is. And not only that, but think about it. We've covered stocks. We've covered bonds. We've covered cash in a previous episode. In all three of those episodes, we talked about the fact that there is this paper that used to represent these things that now
they're not anymore.
Yeah, you don't need that paper anymore. All of my stock trades are done online. All of my bond trades are done online. All of my banking is done online. I can go an entire month through several pay periods, through several shopping trips, through all of the things basically, and not ever touch currency. The only thing that I touch is those tangible hard assets that I need to live. Food, water, my farmland, which I don't actually have. I don't have farmland. So, that's the idea. Even though saying, a hard asset is something that's tangible. Well, yes, a dollar bill is tangible, but that's not what we're talking about when we talk about hard assets. Yeah. It's one more category. And I don't want to get into it too deep, but maybe this is something we can touch on later.
Okay.
This whole idea of cashless society.
Yeah, that's a big thing right now.
Yeah, it's a big thing. And we'll do an episode down the road about where this is all going and
the positives
how
and negatives
people are going to be affected by it.
Absolutely.
What do you do if you don't have that online banking ability? So that could be something we talk about in the future, but I hope that sort of makes it clear the distinction we're making between currency, which can be a hard physical tangible, and actual hard assets, those things that have
that they're
value.
different. Yes, exactly.
Great. Okay. Well, that about sums it up for me. Katie, why don't we move on to our bullseye and give us, since you made me do my 5
Oh,
first.
I knew it was going to come back to me.
We're going to move on to our bullseye.
Okay, my bullseye, I just want you guys to remember hard assets, the original investment. Think back to, the cavemen.
OG. The OG.
The OG investment. But just picture it. It's so much more than just gold that you see in the ads. It's the gold. It's the diamonds are a girl's best friend. It's oil, water, real estate. It's all of these different things that really can be added to your portfolio if it's right for you.
Yeah. So my bullseye, Katie, thank you for yours. Mine is going to build on yours as usual. Those hard assets, those things that you value, those things that you can use, that you can consume, that you can destroy, that they can be part of your portfolio. You probably want to talk to somebody who can tell you what is a good way to incorporate them into your portfolio if you think you want to. But on the other hand, you may just like to collect something just because you like it. But that doesn't necessarily mean you're going to get a return on that investment.
Yeah.
But basically, they are the basis for everything. I mean, we don't have, in my opinion, we don't have stocks, bonds, and cash. We don't have those unless there's something else for us to use them to buy.
Absolutely.
So hard assets aren't the end. They're the beginning. Bringing it back
brother.
around.
Yes.
Bringing it back around. Well, Katie, there's the closing bell. Ladies and gentlemen, we thank you for joining us again. You have made it to the end of yet another Bullcast podcast, and I appreciate you listening to us. If you want to listen to this podcast right now, just like the second it ends, you want to listen to it over again, just tell Alexa, hey Alexa, play Bullcast podcast. Also, if you want to check out our website and find out more about our podcast, send us a question, send us a comment, send us a suggestion for an episode that you'd like to hear. That website is bullcastpodcast.com. Or reach out to us on Twitter. Our Twitter handle is @bullcastpodcast. You can connect with us on Instagram. Our handle there is @bullcastpodcast. And if you want to find out more about the company that we work for a wealth advisor. It's Pickler Wealth Advisors, and that website is picklerwealthadvisors.com. That's advisors with an O. You can find out about me, Katie, our wonderful producer, Cameron, the entire rest of the team who are all awesome, and of course, our boss, David Pickler. So check that out as well. That gives you plenty to be going on with, as I've heard some people say, I think in a Harry Potter book. That gives you enough to be going on with. So until next time, I'm Court.
I'm Katie.
And we're gone.